Hey everybody, welcome back to another First Impressions video here on the channel. Today we're going to talk about two new volume 1s that I read recently. So you know what to do. Hit that like button, comment down below, share the video, do all that fun stuff that YouTubers like to tell you to do. You can join my Discord server down below, or you can subscribe to the channel as well. All the links are down below. Let's get started. The first book that we're going to talk about is Dra-Q Volume 1. This is written and drawn by Chiyo, published by Kodansha, and I've been looking forward to this one for a little bit. When I first saw the solicit, I'm always down for a cool vampire manga that isn't afraid to get real with its taboo. And by that I mean we follow the character of Amelie. She is a vampire girl who is several hundred years old, but looks to be a high school student, if you will, or at least she's passing off as one. She is forbidden to fall in love, but she can't help to be enamored by the school delinquent Paco. At the start of the manga, it is said very clearly that she is not to fall in love with a human, and there's a list as to the things that might happen if she does. Of course, following love first, she goes with her emotions and ends up confessing her love to Paco. Now, this world is a little bit different. The supernatural is acknowledged, and I believe everybody knows that they exist. Vampires, werewolves, and all that stuff. So it's not a huge surprise when regular human characters see these creatures. Now, there is something happening towards the beginning where a murder is being committed and people are thinking it is a vampire. We quickly learn that is not the case. It's actually a werewolf impersonating one, so as to dampen the reputation, because according to Amelie, vampires would not harm regular people. They would just feed off of them and keep them alive, I guess. But we don't really know that for sure. This is only volume 1. Things could change. So with that love confession out of the way, the two main characters start to hit it off, and on a fateful day, that werewolf creature that I mentioned attacks them. This results in Amelie having to show off her vampire ability and stamina. She is decapitated by this werewolf, but she survives because, hey, supernatural powers, they come in handy. Paco is unfazed and is actually welcoming of the idea of dating a potential vampire, and he seems to have fallen for Amelie pretty quickly. The human characters are not going to take this lightly, and the vampires aren't as well. We get a glimpse at Amelie's family, and they are kind of kooky and scary at the same time. Think Adam's family, but with a bit of a serious edge to them. You don't really know if you're supposed to laugh at these guys or take them seriously. There are a couple more twists thrown around that involve the feud between werewolves and vampires that will change and dictate how the story progresses, which I thought was pretty interesting. Slight spoilers for the end of volume 1. If you don't want to know about them, you can skip forward a minute or two. Towards the end, Amelie decides that she's not going to follow her family's advice, and she still loves Paco. Paco has an ex-girlfriend that is jealous of what's happening, or at least they're kind of friendly with each other, and she decides to take action by taking a bite out of Paco, revealing that she is a werewolf, turning Paco into a werewolf himself. So now Paco is in the supernatural fray as another creature of the night. So how will these two characters continue their relationship moving forward in volume 2? Now it's even more taboo, as you have enemy species, if you will, that love each other, and I'm pretty sure both sides of their respective clans or families or whatever, they're not going to like what's to come. Now, the story beats, dialogue, and the pacing of this first volume is to be expected of a dark romance vampire manga. We've seen these things before, but where this story excels, or at least with volume 1, is the art. Chiyo is a hell of an artist. I did not know about this creator, and I immediately fell in love with the visuals of this story. I love Amelie's character design. I love how the werewolves look. I love how each vampire, though brief, they have their own unique personality. The blood splatter and the violent nature to the story is very good. It really brought that ferocity and danger of the supernatural creatures, mixing it with the tropings of a forbidden romance. There's some not safe for workish aspects if you consider the fact that Amelie is decapitated and spends a whole scene of the manga holding her head with her hand, but if you're into vampire stories, dark romances with a bit of an edge to them, I think you should check out Volume 1 of Dra-Q. I'm definitely looking forward to Volume 2 and Volume 3, which will conclude the story. Hell, I like it so much, I'm gonna be annoyed when Volume 3 comes out, because even though this is a very simple story that I guess you could tell in 20-some chapters, or I think close to 30, I kind of want this to go on for more than 3 volumes, if you catch my drift. But overall, a very solid Volume 1, and the surprise here is the creator, Chiyo. I want to read more of their work, can't get enough of that art. The other Volume 1 that I wanted to talk about is Mujina Into the Deep Volume 1 from Inio Asano, published by Viz Media. Now this was a mixed bag. I remember when it got first announced, a lot of people were hesitant. I read that it wasn't Asano's strongest work, but I was still excited because I am a fan of the creator. I have most of his books in my collection, and I was interested to see how Inio would deal with an action series, because we know him as a mangaka with morally complex characters, a lot of dialogue and psychological issues, not a straightforward series that deals with a lot of assassins. There is some really intense action scenes in this. There is a lot of not safe for work material. It isn't too explicit, but you still gotta watch out. So what the heck is this about? We have, I guess, an alternate future where humanity is no longer guaranteed to have rights, and they can be bought and sold. If the person does not have his rights attached, they are classified as a Mujina, and you don't have access to anything. You're just freeloading off of whatever you can find and do. A lot of people take this opportunity to contract Mujina to perform assassinations, sort of like hitmen, and do the dirty work that other people might not want to do. That lends itself to the dark underbelly of society, as you're externalizing that frustration, rage, and dissatisfaction with society in the Mujina themselves, letting them do the dirty work, taking care of whatever needs to be taken care of. Now, the main Mujina that we follow is called Ubume. She is a 30-something-year-old assassin, which looks way too young for that age. I thought she was going to be a teenager, but she is not as expressive in the beginning of the story. She has a very cold persona to her. Throughout the beginning of the book, she is just on missions, and parallel to her story, we follow the character of Terumi Morgan. This is a sleazy game developer that has his own startup company, and he is addicted to pornography, going to brothels, and he's kind of a sleazeball. But we follow the story through his lens as he, due to some weird circumstance, happens to find Ubume on one of her missions. She is tasked with saving this young girl, teenager, from some sex traffickers. So the book deals in that area. There is a lot of talk about pornography, sex trafficking, sexual assault. There's a lot of violence, murder, and just an overall grimy look at the world that we live in. So if those things affect you, I really do not recommend Mujina. If you're a fan of Inio Asano, you might want to check it out because it is so different. This is not Pun Pun, Solanin, or Dead Demons. It's very action-oriented. Asano is able to leave his trademark social commentary on the state of things. He has a lot to say in regards to society, what equates to rights, what we perceive as rights, how we treat other people less fortunate than us, and how we treat ourselves. We see that with Terumi and how he is just so fatalistic. He knows that he's gonna croak anytime. As for Ubume, it takes a little bit to get to know her, but we know that she has good intentions. Even though she is an assassin, we see a spark of humanity there by saving this young girl, and later on taking the task of trying to buy that girl's rights card or certificate so that she can be amongst regular society. I should have mentioned at the beginning that she does fail on her assassination attempt, so that has put her at the lowest rank amongst the Mujina. There are other Mujina that are after her and want to take her out, so there is some conflict there between the same profession, if you will. There is a secondary character that is a Mujina, but she works as an influencer slash idol, so we get to see someone that is off the grid but still influencing the grid by being a social media personality. She's kind of deranged and crazy and serves as the main antagonist, I guess. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of those fights in the upcoming volumes. These are characters that don't necessarily have it made in life. They've been through some stuff, but by the end of the book, you're going to have these characters that are sort of forced into potentially form a bond thanks to the extraordinary circumstances which led to them meeting. Terumi now has responsibilities. He has people to look out for. He has other things to worry about and not depend on his vices and consumerism. And with the relationship between Ubume and Juno, I do find it interesting how one of them doesn't have rights while the other does, but if you look at them objectively, both of these girls are outcasts of society, and she is just as much as a Mujina as Ubume. Now, this is my personal take on this manga, so don't come at me. I think this is easily Inio Asano's best art. The character designs, the line work, the backgrounds, his trademark tropes of the photorealism being implemented, all that stuff is in full force here. And I think after so many years of creating complex characters and worlds, we see the result here in a fantastic looking series. That was one of my main things, where every page I was just marveled and amazed by the attention to detail and the character designs and all that stuff. Even with the not safe for work moments, you have to appreciate the beauty and sleaziness of what's happening and how Asano is able to capture that realism while also giving it a hint of this cartoonish effect thanks to his style and the way the characters' faces are laid out and all that stuff. It's typical Asano, but I think, like I said, the culmination of so many important works, this is easily one of, if not his best drawn book to date. So I am definitely interested in continuing both of these series. I thought they were fascinating first volumes. Have you read Dra-Q or Mujina? Let me know in the comment section down below. And if you haven't, let me know two things. What is your favorite vampire manga, or what is your favorite Inio Asano book? Thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, and being a part of Manga Geekdom. I do have a Discord if you want to join. It's a lot of fun. The link is down below, as well as the channel membership if you're interested in helping out. I'd appreciate it. That's going to be it for now. God bless, stay safe out there. I will catch all of you on the next one.